Good day, everyone. Welcome to a new little series, Spiritual Warfare. I've titled this one, The Three Heavens, Hell, and the Prodigal Son. So I'll start off to say, as most people do not know or be aware of, is the Bible does in fact mention three heavens. There's more than just one heaven. Many people don't understand this fact, and it brings a great amount of clarity once you understand this. So, to start off, I just want to start with a little scripture, get a little basis. And I got some Bibles, and we're going to look through Genesis. In fact, it's the very first line in the whole entire Bible, pretty much. So, we'll start out with Ethiopian Bible. Contains all the books. And it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens, that's plural, and the earth. And the earth was waste and void. All right? So, in that Bible, it refers to heavens with an S. So let's see what the big Catholic Holy Bible says. First story of creation. In the beginning, when God created the heavens, plural, and the earth was formless, wasteland, and darkness covered the abyss. So what's cool about the Catholic Bible, and I know it's Catholic, but in here it will say first story of creation and the second story of creation. So it'll actually say second story of creation. And it's also interesting too, because in chapter 6, it will fully state chapter 6, and it's titled On the Origin of the Nephilim. Pretty interesting. Moving on. So I got this one. It's one of my favorites. It's the NIV, or the New International Version. It's nice because it makes it easy for everyone to listen or read. Read. But here it says the same thing. It's in plural. All right. So it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. So as you can see, all three of these Bibles will include heavens as a plural. Now, here's the interesting thing. We got the good old King James Version. Pretty popular. But it's funny, because for as popular as this is, there's a major misconception. In the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. One heaven. Interesting, King James. Why didn't you want to include the other heavens? And this goes on to my next little topic. What are the other heavens? So the first heaven is what we all know. We can look up. It's the natural heaven, the sky. It's the atmosphere and the starry heavens. So, and it's subjected to the authorities of the second heaven, which is pretty interesting. And people contact this realm through the five senses, natural senses, and it's governed by the natural laws. Meanwhile, I'm going to skip second heaven real quick and go right to third. So what's the third heaven? Well, there's a few references. There's one in Corinthians when Paul was talking about the moment of being ascended up to the third heaven. He did not know if it was in body or out of body. He doesn't know. He says God knows. But the third heaven, what is that? Well, that's the dwelling place of God. It's the heavenly kingdom. It's where the throne of God. Some say he sits above the third heaven, but you can all pretty much mean that it's all related and interconnected. So the third heaven is populated by his angels, his assembly, the church of the firstborn, the judges, all the spirits of the just men that were made perfect, and of course Jesus. It's the seat of all authority in God's universe. The living, redeemed contact this realm through their spirit, either through faith or prayer. And God's kingdom operates from this heaven, influencing both the second and the first heavens and the beings who populate them both. So what is the second heaven? Well, this is the interesting part, because many people think that Satan is in hell. No, he isn't. Satan's not in hell. Hell is God's prison, his containment, his holding area until, the appointed times. And so this second heaven concept then is what? Well, when Satan fell and he took a third of God's angels with him, you have to realize that Satan is a counterfeit. He likes to copy everything that God has because he wants what God has. He thinks he could be a better version of God. Well, what if God allowed him? He's like, well, you think you could do better? Try and see. Lucifer, which bad Latin translation. Hel Ben Shakar is what a lot of people are known him as, the morning star. There's more than one morning star too, if you read things carefully. But Satan took a third of God's angels with him, and the heavenly order, what he knew. He took all of that stuff and they fell to the second heaven, which we think of as the cosmos, or the universe where you can go all over in space and all yada yada yada. I don't really adhere to that, but I would say second heaven is more invisible. It's the spiritual realm. And this is where the great deception lies. He loves to deceive and counterfeit what God makes. And so anything that God has, Satan has too, in his own way. So when you're thinking of things, not just demons with the horns and everything else, no. They can assume whatever shape they want. They can look like an angel, they can look like a demon. Sometimes, I'm sure if you get grotesque enough and violate the laws, I'm sure it kind of disforms and can corrupt the body. So, second heaven is Satan's kingdom. So you have God's kingdom and Satan's kingdom. Satan is not in hell. I will say this again. Which is going to make a lot of sense real soon. Because everyone is deceived in the way, especially in New Age, where it's all spiritual and you got the Gnostics. The Gnostics will fit into this. The Gnostic universe is the second heaven. The Gnostics worship Satan. They like to flip things around and be like, Yahweh is this and blah, blah, blah. And not, yeah, I've been through it. I have the Gnostic Bibles too. I have the Nagahami Index and all various things. Actually, I burned most of them once I realized this conclusion. This will come later in my testimony, but the second heaven is what basically you think of as the spiritual realm. So Hindu and Greek and Roman and this pantheon of gods and this pantheon of gods, all the polytheistic gods is under Satan's jurisdiction. And in fact, those gods, the Roman gods, the Greek gods, they're fallen angels or their offspring. So when you think of Zeus, and Zeus was this guy, and he went and he's known as Jupiter, and Jupiter's known as this, and all that, they're all the fallen angels, and they all love basically what Satan loves, pride. And what does pride love most? Talking about themselves and thinking they're right and all that stuff. I, for one, that was my biggest thing. I had a lot of spiritual pride. I spent 30 years in the occult. I gained a lot of knowledge, which actually helps a little bit because now I am weaponized with real book of truth. And so it helps me discern a lot of things, and it will help anyone who listens to this series and stuff that I'll be doing in other videos. So you got spiritual beings of all sorts, and angels and demons. And demons are, if anyone doesn't know, demons were created from the fallen angels coming down, physically interbreeding with human women, taking them as wives, trading for technology. Why? Earth is for us, for humans. They didn't like that God made a special place for us and his created beings. So they're a little jealous. kind of wanted our what we had, but they needed a loophole. And Satan and his angels were, well, a few of them were part of the courts. He didn't just take lower angels. There was several subsets of angels and hierarchy of all that, and some of them, like I said, 1/3 of heaven fell. So this wasn't just little minions. These were some big, powerful creations too. And so they came down and they wanted Earth for themselves. Well, how do you do that? Well, you insert yourselves into the human population. I won't get too much into it because this will go into the bloodlines, and I'll start talking about stuff that will get striped and all that stuff, yada yada. But there's other videos, go find them. And so, just like you can do a quick Google search about the three heavens, and it'll tell you a lot about this stuff in a very basic way. But yeah, so people contact this realm, the second heaven, the spiritual realm. So you really want to put that in your head. The spiritual realm is not the same as the heavenly realm. Spiritual realm is Satan's kingdom. So it may look all shiny, it may all look all pretty, and it may all look like this and like that, and then it also has some very hellish realms too. And basically Satan has just as much, or if not greater, influence due to the bloodlines inserted here and through the Nephilim and the giants. And you can see that reflected like Greek, where you had the Titans. They were the fallen, and then the Titans had offspring, so those would be like the Nephilim. And surprisingly, it all states this right in the Bible. Most people just right over their head. Did for me for a while. Like I said, I was spiritually ignorant. It's amazing that how blind you can read the same things over and over and over again, and then next thing you know, one day your eyes are opened by the grace of God, and you see things differently. You read those words, and they hit different. And so, like in chapter 6, with the origin of the Nephilim, when they said that the fallen came down, took wives, and those wives birthed the men of renown, the mighty men of renown. Who are those? Mythology. Those are the gods and the heroes of mythology. It says it right there in the Bible. Plain as day since the beginning. And I'm not even going to get into the whole like, oh, the Bible is false and it was created and how can you trust the Bible? No. No, I would have to say that if anything, back in Constantinople, when they were putting this Bible together, what they were actually doing was the fallen was inserting their own version along with the truth into the Bible. One example is in the creation story on day 6, God created all of the animals and all of the crawly things. And then he created man and he created woman at the same time, all in the same day, day 6. Then he rested. Then after he rested, I don't know, day 8, it then goes on and kind of starts the whole story all over again, but it sounds a little weird. Kind of sounds like genetics. If anyone knows the Greek and Hebrew, get the concordance, Strong's dictionary. You can look this up, and the term deep sleep can denote a sleep brought on by a narcotic, or to be put to sleep. Kind of like Adam was put on an operating table, got anesthesia. They took the DNA out of his side, or his rib, and then made woman, which doesn't make sense, because on day 6, God made man and woman at the same time, not from man. So you really have to read things a little carefully. And so to get back into spiritual realm and the second heaven, sorry, went off on a tangent. I wanted to say that anything considered spiritual falls under Satan's jurisdiction. Now, there's the good angels and there's the bad angels, good cop, bad cop. Well, it's all basically Satan's ploy and trickery and deception. And the Bible clearly warns in many areas what these deceptions are. Examples, I won't read the scripture because you can find it, but it talks about divination, necromancy, mediumship. All of that stuff falls under Satan's jurisdiction. So when you go to that medium, that psychic, and you want to hear from your grandma, that it's not grandma. That's a demon. More than likely a generational demon that's been assigned to your family. They know everything about you. That's their job. They know you inside and out, because what they want most is they want you to go astray. They don't want you to find out. They don't want you to find God. And if you do, well, they're going to make things really hard for you. Really hard. Just try reading the Bible at night. See how fast you fall asleep. But if you watch that good old primetime TV show or that movie, you'll be up until 2 a.m. Interesting, right? So, to wrap this up and kind of make way for the next one, next video, anything that you think that you might have been doing but is not Bible-based, you fell under the deception of Satan. Freemason is related to Gnosticism, and I already spoke about that before. Kabbalah, all of those things are different ways of ascending to become your own God. Newsflash, that should be a red flag right there. How can you be your own God? So, furthermore, I just want to hit on this because I'll make another video about it, but prodigal son. So, that story is probably one of the best and most important stories in the whole Bible, because it's about returning home. And it's kind of what I did after 30 years of being in the occult. I was a Reiki master, and did massage and I always dabbled in stuff. Luckily, God always brought me to the edge of the cliff, but I never jumped. So I never really got into things fully, which is good because I never fully became entangled in their deception. And I always strove and tried to find God. I just never went for the Bible. I was duped. Don't listen to the Bible. Don't blah, 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 blah. This is 1,000 reasons why. Yeah. Well, I know better now. So I made some other videos, some art videos. So talking about my experiences a little bit. But to wrap this up, there's 3 heavens. There's the kingdom of heaven, Satan's kingdom. And then there's earth, and then hell, or the pit. So, there's not much I want more to say. I mean, I could go into each one deeper and kind of make some more connections, but this video is already getting long enough. And I am going to make a series, a spiritual warfare series. Another good reference that you can look for, Derek Prince. He's a good guy to look up. Fascinating, knowledgeable man of God. Pretty much a forerunner in the spiritual warfare. It's been up until he passed, I think in 2003 or so. He traveled the world with his wife and talked a lot about the spiritual warfare, a lot of witchcraft. That was another thing I was going to say. Witchcraft. Oh, the witchcraft. Gotten pretty wild. Everyone likes to be a witch. Every girl wants to be a witch. Well, if you find some testimonies online, you'll see how that ends up. Doesn't never end good. But the nice thing is if you can survive that way of life, more than likely you'll hit that light bulb moment and you will return to God and you will be a strong warrior because you stepped into that world, you know about that world, and now you know how to fight against it. So stay tuned and have a blessed day.